Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. As promised before we went to that 2-minute break, we're going to be diving into some of these other crime-related headlines. I'm going to show you this live look that we have there of the White House. As you know, the administration is doing a lot, as they're saying, in these last few months to crack down on the import of illegal drugs into the United States. And we now know that 11 defendants have been sentenced for their role in a conspiracy to traffic fentanyl from the Mexico border to Idaho. We heard from in a press conference earlier today some of the details of that arrest. Let's listen in here on Live Now.
Sentenced to 140 months in prison. Arafat Ramirez, 43, of Jerome, was sentenced to 140 months in prison. Brandon Aaron Dana, 37, of Leodore, was sentenced to 120 months in prison. Tina Jane Morris, 46, of Pocatello, was sentenced to 97 months in prison. Sammy Davy Martinez, 49, of Nampa, was sentenced to 78 months in prison. Jamie Lee Coltrane, 36, of Rupert, was sentenced to 48 months in prison. Jenica Ann Johnson, 31, of Pocatello, was sentenced to 48 months in prison. Daniel Ross Coltrane, 40, of Paul, was sentenced to 25 months in prison. Rosa Ramirez, 64, of Jerome, was sentenced to 24 months in prison. Rachel Dixon, 36, of Boise, was sentenced to 3 years probation. And Layla Vanessa Ramirez Martinez, 35, of Jerome, was sentenced to 2 years of probation. I commend the outstanding investigative efforts of the Idaho State Police, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the sheriff's offices from Ada, Twin Falls, Minidoka, and Cassia County, the city police departments for Pocatello, Nampa, and Garden City, as well as the Idaho Department of Corrections, that all participated in this investigation. The sentencings in this case highlight the serious threat that fentanyl and methamphetamine traffickers pose to Idaho and our communities, and it also represents the commitment that we have to stop them. This case is yet another example of the flow of dangerous drugs from Mexico into the United States and eventually ending up in Idaho. These drugs significantly endanger our citizens and our communities. I am very appreciative of the support that the state of Idaho and Idaho Governor Brad Little, the Idaho State Police, and the county sheriffs and city police departments provide to the United States Department of Justice to address the lethal threat posed by dangerous drugs being smuggled from Mexico. I thank our law enforcement partners for the dedication to these important cases, which help keep Idaho a safe and wonderful place to live. And I will now turn it over to Governor Brad Little.
Thank you, Justin. It's not lost on me about the communities that were listed, from our biggest community to 2 of our smallest communities. This is a problem that's obviously permeates our state, and the cooperation that Justin just alluded to basically epitomizes the best efforts of all of Idaho, with our partners at the local government, our partners at the federal government, to address this. When I talk to Idahoans constantly, the one thing that they're, and part of the reason people are moving to Idaho is because they want to be safe. Public safety is a huge driver of Idaho's growth. Our high quality of life drives economic opportunities. But without public safety, our quality of life is not possible. That's why I made our Operation Esto Perpetua a top priority for this administration. This initiative championed historic investments in the Idaho State Police with a particular focus on fentanyl, drug trafficking, and human trafficking. With those investments and the leadership of Colonel Gardner, who runs the state police, and the rest of his team, we were able to contribute so much more to the shared effort to get drugs off our streets. I would like to highlight for a moment some of the big wins we had this session with the legislature. We secured a new special assistant U.S. attorney in North Idaho to focus solely on putting away drug traffickers. We strengthened Idaho's laws related to immigration enforcement, both through the signing of my executive order and the Border Security and Immigration Enforcement Act that was House Bill 83. I think anyone in the room today would tell you drug trafficking and our country's immigration policy are directly linked. In a matter of weeks, President Trump took steps to completely turn the situation at the border around. Here are some of the border successes in 2 to 3 months since the president took office. Illegal crossings have declined to the lowest level ever recorded, down 94% from February of 2024 and down 96% from an all-time high. 2 years ago, the U.S. Border Patrol agents encountered 1,500 illegal immigrants every day in the El Paso sector alone. Now, they see roughly 80 a day amid President Trump's unprecedented efforts. The Department of Homeland Security announced that arrests of criminal illegal immigrants have doubled. President Trump declared a national emergency at the border and deployed the military to secure our nation. Illegal immigrants are flat out just turning around in droves amid the crackdown. These changes will be felt at the local level with fewer drugs on our streets. Our law enforcement partners from the federal level to the local level work closely with the Idaho State Police to keep our people safe. I want to congratulate everyone in the room for reaching this pivotal moment. Today's news doesn't just keep us on track to protect Southern Idaho, it keeps us on track to protect the entirety of the state of Idaho. Thank you very much.
All right, as you see there, we were just listening into some of those Idaho officials as they announced that 11 people have been sentenced in this fentanyl bust. I do want to put this up on your screen. This is a tweet that we have there from the U.S. Department of Justice. They said thanks to coordinated efforts between federal, state, and local law enforcement, over 48,000 fentanyl pills and 4 pounds of methamphetamine, deadly drugs trafficked across the U.S.-Mexico border, have been seized.